the quiet evenings spent with Lucas were becoming my favorite moments, not because of the stillness, but because of the depth they revealed. One such evening, under the soft glow of warm lamplight, Lucas opened up to me about a part of his past he rarely spoke of. His voice, usually steady and confident, wavered with an emotion that was raw and unfiltered. It was a side of him I hadn't seen before, and it stopped me in my tracks. I listened intently as he recounted a time in his life when everything seemed to unravel. A failed project, a fractured relationship, and the weight of disappointment had left him questioning his path. As he spoke, I saw the vulnerability in his eyes, the lingering traces of pain that still echoed in his voice. For someone who exuded confidence and charm, this glimpse of fragility was unexpected and deeply human. I wanted to say the perfect thing to offer comfort and wisdom, but no words seemed sufficient. Instead, I leaned closer, my hand resting on his, and let my presence do the talking. I've always been one to act, to fix, to move forward with unrelenting momentum. But in that moment, I understood that sometimes just being there was enough. It wasn't easy for me to sit in silence. I'm someone who thrives on action, who meets challenges head-on and charges through obstacles with determination. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is like a quiet storm, unpredictable and disarming. Yet, as Lucas shared his story, I felt a shift within me. A recognition that strength doesn't always mean having all the answers. Sometimes, it's about holding space for someone else's truth. His story brought back memories of my own struggles, moments when I'd felt the sting of failure and the weight of doubt. I'd always masked those feelings with a bold exterior, convincing myself that vulnerability was a sign of weakness. But now, as Lucas opened up to me, I realized how wrong I'd been. It wasn't weakness at all. It was a form of courage, one that required trust and authenticity. "Thank you for sharing that with me," I said softly, my voice steady despite the emotions churning inside. "It means a lot that you trust me with something so personal." Lucas's lips curved into a small, appreciative smile.
"You make it easy to open up,"
he replied.
"There's something about you that makes me feel safe."
His words struck a chord, filling me with a warmth that spread through my chest. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear that, how much it meant to know that my presence had that kind of impact. For someone who often rushed through life, chasing the next challenge, this moment of quiet connection felt grounding and profound. In the days that followed, I found myself reflecting on the layers of our relationship. It wasn't just about the passion and excitement, though those things were undeniably important. It was also about the moments of stillness, the times when we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable and unguarded. Those moments, I realized, were what truly deepened our bond. One evening, as we sat together watching the city lights from my balcony, I decided it was time to reciprocate. Vulnerability didn't come naturally to me, but Lucas had shown me the value of it, and I wanted to honor that. I began to share pieces of my own story. The moments of doubt, the fear of not being enough, the relentless drive that sometimes felt like both a gift and a curse. Lucas listened with the same patience and empathy he had shown before, his gaze steady and reassuring. As I spoke, I felt the weight of those buried emotions lift, replaced by a sense of freedom I hadn't expected. For the first time, I felt truly seen, not just for my strengths, but for my flaws and insecurities as well.
"You're incredible,"
Lucas said when I finished.
"Not because you're fearless, but because you're willing to face your fears head on. That's what makes you so strong."
His words stayed with me, echoing in my mind long after the night had ended. They were a reminder that strength wasn't about perfection or invincibility. It was about resilience, about the willingness to embrace every part of yourself, the good, the bad, and the uncertain. As our relationship continued to evolve, I began to see vulnerability not as a weakness, but as a bridge. It connected us in ways that passion alone couldn't, fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation for each other. The more I allowed myself to be vulnerable, the stronger our bond became. Reflecting on this chapter of our journey, I realized how much I had grown. The fiery determination that defined me was still there, but it was now tempered by a newfound depth. I was learning to balance boldness with sensitivity, action with reflection, and independence with connection. And in doing so, I felt more whole, more alive than I ever had before. The path we were on wasn't always easy, but it was undeniably worth it. Each challenge, each moment of vulnerability brought us closer to something extraordinary. And as I looked toward the future, I felt a renewed sense of confidence and excitement, ready to face whatever lay ahead with Lucas by my side.